Can Dredge work in Timeless, even though there's no actual Dredge cards in Timeless? That's what we're going to find out today. So here is our Timeless Dredge deck. And the idea of this deck, like any good Dredge deck, is to fill the graveyard as fast as possible. And if we do that, our reward is we build an overwhelmingly big board for free and probably just win the game. So when we're mulliganing, and this deck mulligans pretty aggressively, we are trying to find graveyard filling cards, self-mill cards. So these cards, Stitcher, Spire, Otherworldly Gaze, Satyr Wayfinder, Grizzly Salvage, Glimpsey Unthinkable, they're the cards we want in our opening hand the most. And on turn 1, on turn 2, on turn 3, we just want to be casting these cards to get as many cards in our graveyard as possible, because cards going in our graveyard is going to end up winning us the game. So how do the cards actually win us the game by going in the graveyard? Well, first we get Narcomoeba and Bloodghast, each of which comes back from the graveyard for free. Yeah, they're only 1/1s and 2/1s. Bloodghast can't even block, but that's fine, because we're not trying to win the game with these cards. These cards are triggering our other synergies. When we get a Narcomoeba or Bloodghast back, we also get back from our graveyard any number of prized amalgams for free, and they're 3/3, so they're a little bit bigger of threats. And then we have Creeping Chill. Creeping Chill, when we mill it, we drain for 3, we gain 3, our opponent loses 3. This by itself is really important to the deck. Remember, we're playing Timeless. It's a fetch land format. It is not unreasonable or unlikely that our opponents are going to take 5 or more damage off their lands. Altogether, all 4 Creeping Chills is 12 total damage, which means we don't have to get in that much damage with our janky creatures when you combine it with our opponent's fetch lands and shock lands to just win the game by milling all of our Creeping Chills, which we will do eventually with our self-mill stuff. And Creeping Chill's even better than that because it gets back our Silver Smote. Silver Smote comes back from our graveyard for free if we gain 3 or more life. So if we mill a Creeping Chill, we get back all of our Silver Smotes, and then Silver Smote, of course, will also come along with all of our prized amalgams. So as you can see, if we can just mill our deck, we're probably going to win the game. Mana base, pretty straightforward. Fetches, a Triome, some shocks. The most interesting part is we're playing some deserts, mostly for Ipnu Rivulet, which is another self-mill card. We can pay 2, tap it, sack a desert to mill for. So just a backup way we can mill a few more cards to find our payoffs. And then in the sideboard, this is where things become a little bit sketchy. So Dredge is an amazing game 1 deck. Like, if you can't interact with our graveyard, we don't really care about removal. We don't really care too much about counters. We're just gonna like do our thing, and you're probably not gonna be able to deal with it, and you're probably gonna lose. The problem with Dredge is graveyard hate is absolutely devastating. Leyline of the Void, rest in peace. Tormod Script, Ashiok, name a graveyard hate spell. It's gonna be really good against our deck. So game 1, we hopefully win by doing our Dredge thing. Games 2 and games 3, it becomes a little more challenging because our opponent is probably gonna bring in graveyard hate. So we need to have answers like Wilt and Assassin's Trophy that we can bring in to deal with our opponent's graveyard hate, so we can then combo off and win the game. So Wilt, Assassin's Trophy to deal with graveyard hate, Tormod Script for our opponent's graveyard, Miscast to deal with, I don't know, like a Farewell or something, any spell that might be a problem, and then Fatal Push in case we need to deal with a creature. And that is Timeless Dredge. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see just how good Dredge is in Timeless. I actually have pretty high hopes for this one. I feel like Timeless should be the kind of format where this deck should be really good, because I don't think people are prepared for graveyards. I think Timeless players, you know, they're doing their combo-y things and playing their Ragavans and Okos. I don't think they're thinking about, oh no, someone's going to come and like dredge me and just win by doing nothing and filling their graveyard. So I'm hoping that the deck's going to line up really well with the meta, but let's jump into some games and find out. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. We are trying to do some dredging in Timeless. Can Dredge actually work in Timeless? Plus, we could play Satyr Wayfinder, so do we keep this hand? Probably not. We have 2 things we'd rather have in the graveyard. This hand we're definitely keeping, because Glimpsey Unthinkable is our scariest mill spell. Who main decks Leyline of the Void in Timeless? We try. I don't even know if I want to show our opponent anything. I mean, there's no way we're winning this, right? We're just dead. Boom, Bloodghast. I had this whole theory about how Dredge was going to be great in Timeless because no one was prepared for it. But you know what? It turns out literally everyone, and also their mothers and grandmothers and people they've never even met before are prepared for it. Everyone's prepared for it. That is not what you want to see when you load up Dredge, is your opponent to just confidently drop a Leyline of the Void on turn 0. That is what we call the nightmare in the biz. All right. Yeah, I mean, not beating that ever. I mean, this we got to keep, even though it sucks, but we have a way to... They're going to mulligan for a Leyline, now that they know. We have a way to kill the Leyline, so I think we have to keep this, even though we have literally no ways to fill the graveyard, just because we also don't auto-lose, and they did not find the Leyline. Well, Polluted Delta crack it. The problem is we're stuck hard casting some janky cards here. Another land. Well, Windswept Heath, crack it. Thin the deck. Get a Overgrown Tomb untapped and go Bloodghast. Get in there, buddy. Next turn we can hard cast a Prized Amalgam, just like we drew it up. Nykthos. That does explain why our opponent would play a Leyline in the main deck. It makes sense in a Nykthos deck. Well, hard cast Prized Amalgam. Opponent gonna run out of Bowmaster. Yup. Well, we have all this graveyard hate protection that's not doing much at the moment. I guess at some point we can blow up a Nykthos. What? Run it back. Well, game 1, opponent auto won with Leyline. Game 2, I don't know, I guess our opponent didn't have land number 3 and just didn't want to play it out, and we auto won? You know what? We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this. We got the wilts. I still think our opponent, yeah, is gonna aggressively mulligan for Leyline. We will play 8 Windswept Heath and pass the turn. But that's fine, right? We actually have the answer for it this time, so we're not just dead to it. Phyrexian Tower. Well, Windswept Heath, crack it. Grab a Zagoth Triumph. Oh, there's a glimpse too. Okay, that's good news. Let's play Polluted Delta, pass the turn. So at the end of our opponent's turn, we can wilt the Leyline. And then we can untap it and we can mill a lot of cards. And we're gonna hope that that is enough. Opponent hits us. The Phyrexian Tower is a little scary. They can ramp into something. Opponent, Nykthos, Necro. Okay. All right, well, let's see how far our opponent goes. 1 card, 2 card, 3 card, 4 card, 5 card. This Nykthos is a problem because they can have like Gray Merchant. 6 cards, 7 cards, and it goes to 13. So opponent's trying to stay out of the range of Creeping Chills, all 4 Creeping Chills. Well, we're grabbing Island. We will wilt the Leyline. All right, well, here goes nothing. We draw Stitcher's Supplier. So the question is, should we just be blowing up the Necro, or should we be trying to execute our game plan? If we blow up the Necro, it turns off the Nykthos. But then it also just lets our opponent Leyline again, theoretically. Let's play an Oasis. Wilt the Necro. Pass the turn. Opponent swamp. Another Leyline. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Opponent goes attacking. Well, let's do this. We're gonna scoop here, but let's do this to see how it would have played out if we did it the other way. If we did it the other way, yeah, we would have got a Prized Amalgam and a Narcomoeba. All right. Well, our opponent came prepared. All right. Much brew about nothing time. We are seeing how Dredge works in Timeless this week, and we can fill our graveyard, so score. Deathrite Shaman. Okay, that's a smidge obnoxious, just a little. I mean, we should be able to beat a Deathrite though, right? Deathrite shouldn't be able to beat us by itself. Yeah, let's just island go. I think we otherworldly gaze. Deathrite's annoying. That is a way to exile stuff from our graveyard, so it's not great for us, but it's in with the Deathrite. Sure. Well, let's otherworldly gaze. Mill. Oh, we really just need we need an Archamoeba. We needs an Archamoeba. Wow, would have been nice to mill that. So let's see. Oh, well, let's otherworldly gaze. Mill. Oh no. Overgrown Tomb, untapped. There we go. Get back the blood gas. Get back the prized amalgam. Okay, even just this is a pretty good start. Stitcher Supplier. I think we can just overwhelm the Deathrite. Okay, there's an Archamoeba and a Creeping Shell. Okay, this is looking even better. Free Narcomoeba. Wow, maybe this deck's good. Free Narcomoeba. And opponent. Turn 2 kill. Now I guess we need to bring in our anti-graveyard hate stuff. So like, do we want Fatal Push? Do we care? How much do we care about Deathrite? We have to trim synergistic stuff for everything we bring in, so we don't want to go too deep. Let's try something like that. I feel like this is one of those decks that's like floating beneath the surface of Timeless. No one really plays it, but I feel like it has the pieces to be super good. Dredge is usually like that, right? When the metagame, I mean, we're gonna keep this. The Creeping Chill in hand isn't great, but all right, Deathrite Shaman, sure. Watery Grave and Stitcher's Supplier. Mill some cards. All right, double Otherworldly Grave's prized amalgam. But when the meta becomes too unfocused on graveyard decks, all of a sudden, Dredge can become super good. All right, opponent. So they can exile the prized amalgam, which is obnoxious, but I mean, we can mill 10 more cards here if we want to. All right, so they're gonna eat the prized amalgam. Makes sense. We draw an Archamoeba, not great, but we can mill 10 cards. Okay, we hit a Creeping Chill, hit you for 3. Get in with a Stitcher Supplier, hit you for 1. Silver Smote returns. 3 prized amalgams. Actually, it'll probably be 2 because they can exile 1. But still, like, this is ridiculous, right? We haven't done anything. We've cast 2 spells, and we're like, sure, exile 1 of them. We're still gonna have 9, 10 power coming at you. Opponent. Wow, they eat a land? What are they? Oh my goodness. Okay. Opponent's got the tech. Opponent's got the tech to stay alive. Yeah, that does keep our opponent alive. That eats every one of our prized amalgams. Oh, that's actually really bad. Well, now we need to kill the Ashiok. Oh, I was just singing the praises of this deck, but now it's actually not looking great. Well, let's pass the turn. Yeah, that's concerning. That's concerning. Every prized amalgam gone. I mean, that's the weakness of Dredge, right? It is, by definition, soft to graveyard hate. It is incredibly explosive, but if your opponent draws a graveyard hate, they got a shot. Scavenging Ooze. Well, crack the Polluter Delta. Opponents actually got a lot of dorky graveyard hate, don't they? They're probably getting a little lucky to draw it in their million card deck, but let's Overgrown Tomb untapped. I mean, we just got to try to overload it. Grizzly Salvage. We will take a Satyr Wayfinder. Opponent can eat our Bloodghast. Ooh, they don't. How do we want to do this? How do we do this most efficiently? We would like to get back the Bloodghast. All right, let's play Polluted Delta. Does our opponent go to eat it? Okay, so we'll crack the Polluted Delta. Our opponent can still get rid of it, but they have to tap their Deathrite to get another green mana. We'll take a Overgrown Tomb untapped. All right, so opponent is gonna do it. This does tap them down. Yeah, so there goes the Bloodghast. They grow the Dorks. We will hit you for 3. Opponent takes it down to 16. Actually, you know what? Let's Narcomoeba. Narcomoeba can chip in for some damage in the air. 3 graveyard hate spells is tough. That graveyard wipe with Ashiok actually was the biggest one, but our opponent actually seems very prepared for Dredge. Ooze and Ashiok. Deathrite, that's a free roll because everyone plays Deathrite, but the other 2 are not cards that everyone plays. Opponent's passing. Well, otherworldly gaze. Mill and mill. Well, let's Satyr Wayfinder, mill some cards. All we can do is what we do. I'm not confident it's going to be enough this game, though. We'll take a Polluted Delta. Hit a Creeping Chill. Opponent can exile it. Wow. Okay, opponent lets it go. Losing all those prized amalgams really hurts, though. Well, let's play a Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Exiles the Bloodghast. Alright, so we mill 3. Nothing of note. Stitcher Supplier. Mill 3. Hit a Narcomoeba. Opponent can exile it. Yeah. Alright. You got it. Yeah, too much graveyard hate in this one. There's just no way we can overcome that. What we did learn, though, is Wilt's kind of sketchy. Fatal Push actually seems like better protection here. Let's bring in the Fatal Pushes, not the Wilts. We'll leave the Assassin's Trophies because they hit anything. But now that we've seen they're playing Skoos and Deathrite and Ashiok, which doesn't knight a Will either, I do think, though, opponent's an 80-card deck, right? They're an 80-card Yariad deck. I think that was kind of a little bit just the high roll where they somehow in their 80-card deck drew a bunch of presumably like 1 or 2 of sideboard cards. So I think that was mostly just our opponent hit all the right cards for the matchup. Let's see if they do it again in game 3, then maybe they're just playing a ton of graveyard hate. We are on the play for game 3, which should be good. Not keeping that hand. Don't really even want to keep this hand. I mean, I guess this is fine, right? We'll put the prize amalgam back. This hand's definitely not great. Silver Smote we'd rather have in our deck. Bloodghast we'd rather have in our deck. But I do like that we have a Fatal Push. That is good news. We just don't have that much self-mill. Opponent plays land passes. Well, Flooded Strand, crack it. Watery Grave, untapped, and Otherworldly Gaze. Well, mill all 3 of those. Yeah, mill all 3. Not great. Untap, Grizzly Salvage. Okay, that's a little better. So pass the turn. Let's just Grizzly Salvage while our opponent's tapped down. The lowest of low rolls. Okay. Yeah, that's bad. That is bad. Opponent gets a Watery Grave. Found it. Sweet Jesus. You gotta be kidding me. You have gotta be kidding me. But you kabak. This isn't real. This isn't real. We're living in a simulation. This is not real life. There's no way. No way this is real life. Found it. I'll go thieve the crowds. Makes it food. Well, we get to glimpse the unthinkable. Mill 15. Are there any useful cards among the 15? So we get a Narcomoeba. We get a Creeping Chill. We go to combat. We, I guess, attack our opponent. And then we get, what, 2 Silver Smouts? All right. I mean, that's something. That's something. If we're living in a simulation, we're not doing that bad. Opponent. They're looking at our graveyard. Nothing super, I mean, there's a, I guess, a Bloodghast in there, but opponent, Field of Ruin. Ritual of Soot. Opponent turns their dork into a 3/3, goes attacking. We draw. Stitcher Supplier. Well, let's mill some cards. How about a Creeping Chill? Okay, instead it will be all of our prized amalgams. You know what? We need more than this. Let's Fatal Push our Stitcher Supplier. And mill all lands. And opponent, Ashiok, and we will scoop. On one hand, that's the risk you take when you play Dredge. On the other hand, at some point it's just kind of funny. At some point it's just kind of funny that our opponent in their 80-card deck is drawing infinite graveyard hate, and most of it's cards that no one plays. It's like our opponent woke up and he's like, you know what, I bet someone's gonna play Dredge today. I will just play mono graveyard hate. I mean, it's good to see the downside of decks, right? Like, when you're testing out a deck and seeing a deck in the YouTubes or whatever, you want to get a realistic picture of how it plays. And with Dredge, like, the deck's obviously busted, but at the same time, there are going to be times when your opponent just draws all the graveyard hate, and it's like you're playing the worst deck in the world. That is Dredge from Timeless, literally all the way back to vintage, like same thing. Immensely powerful, very hard to deal with because it attacks on such a unique axis. But if you do happen to have the right cards to deal with it, gonna go well for you. All right, so we mill 3 not relevant cards. Opponent plays a Hollowed Fountain and Chalice of the Void on 1. I mean, that is kind of annoying. We do have 1s in our deck. We draw a Creeping Chill that we'd much rather have in our deck. Forest. Play a Satyr Wayfinder. I guess a Oasis. With how janky this is going, and the fact that our opponent has a Chalice, we might be trying to mill ourselves with deserts. That might be the game plan. Mishra's Bauble. Drawing the Creeping Chill wasn't great. Drawing the Narcomoeba also not great. Go to combat. Get in. Hit ya. Opponent's gonna crack the Bauble. Sure, take a peek. Down to 11. Play a Narcomoeba. A Oasis. Pass the turn. I mean, opponent's down to 11. We can burn them for 3 with Creeping Chill. Ledger Shredder. And Mox Amber to connive. Discards an additional bad Chalice. And a tap land. We continue to draw Narcomoebas. Not ideal. Play Rivulet. Sack the Oasis to mill 4. Going it down to 10. Oh, we got goodies in the graveyard now. We got a Blood Gas that'll get back a Prized Amalgam. Opponent's gonna gain a bit of life with Uro. Could have tapped their Mox Amber in response. Chalice on 0 to connive. Well, we're seeing the downside of Chalice. The Chalice on 1 has done some work for our opponent. Displacer Kitten, oh my god, okay. Glimpse is a good one. Let's glimpse ourselves for 10. We get an Narcomoeba, which will trigger a Prized Amalgam. Play a Ipnu Rivulet to get back our Blood Gas. Get in with the Stitcher Supplier. Opponent takes a Beats, run out the Narcomoeba. Opponent can connive. Well, here comes Prized Amalgam. Only 1, sadly, despite all those triggers. Their Chalice on 0 is actually shutting down a lot of their cards. I don't know if that was worth conniving. Opponent, another Uro. I mean, the Uro life gain is like sort of keeping our opponent alive. Activates Mox Amber. And Emery Lurker the Lock. Triggers Ledger Shredder. Loots away an Uro. I don't know if this is going well for us or not. It would be if our opponent hadn't gained so much life with these Uros. Passes. Cannot be casted. So if we attack with everything, opponent blocks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They take 9. Creeping Chill's not lethal. So I think we have to sack a desert, mill ourselves. Attack with everything. Has a lane line binding, okay. To get rid of a Bloodghast. Well, we hit our opponent to 8. Play a tap land, pass the turn. Wow, this is going horribly. Now our opponent can get back in Uro and go back up to 11, and the math just doesn't work, right? The fact that we can't cast any of our otherworldly gazes because of this Chalice is actually wrecking us. So yeah, the math just does not work here. So our opponent goes up to 11. We can't get in any damage with creatures. Looking at their graveyard, they have successfully locked themselves out of casting their decks with these Chalices, so Emery's not doing anything. What do we draw? If Nerd Deadlands, well, 1, 2. Actually, I guess we should be tapping the Deadlands. 1, 2. Sack the Deadlands to mill 4 cards. The lands are doing what they can to, like, keep us filling our graveyard, but... Alright, we hit a Creeping Chill. Opponent goes to 8. Wow, and they scoop it up. Why did they scoop? I feel like our opponent was very favored to win that game. Well, I mean, we're not going to complain. We're not going to complain. We got the win in what seemed like an unwinnable situation because of that chalice, but I don't know why our opponent, unless they scoop because they locked themselves out of their own combo with the chalice on 0, which I think they did, because I think their combo, they're trying to pull off his Displacer Kit and Emery. Yeah, we'll take it. I mean, I guess we should at least bring in the Assassin's Trophies as a catch-all. Do we want Tormod's Crypt, or like, do we care about trying to disrupt our opponent? They are on the play. Let's just run it like that. Let's just go Assassin's Trophies. I think that's good enough. Bad, bad, bad. We don't want those creeping chills. This hand is also pretty bad. All right, this will keep. You go to the bottom, you go to the bottom. Unfortunately, our first land is tapped. If we get chaliced on one, we're essentially locked. How about an untap land here? No. Well, okay. How about no chalice, at least? Chalice pretty much just beats us. All right. Well, that is unfortunate. Yeah, this chalice doing some serious work here. We'll wait like one more turn to see if we draw it. Oh god, okay. Well, we're probably just gonna scoop. Our opponent has a clock now and we can't cast anything. We'll wait one more turn to see what this Grizzly salvage. Yeah, all right. Well, Chalice of the Void, it can get you. It can get you. Is Chalice enough of a problem when you're gonna bring in Wilts? Wilt doesn't even seem good, but it does specifically blow up Chalice. Yeah, you know what? We're running it back. We're running it back. That's fine. That's fine. We're on the play. On the play, we should be able to just like get an explosive start, right? We just need the explosive start where we're just overwhelming our opponent on turn 1 or 2. Otherworldly Gaze and Infinite Lands. Mulligan. One land, a bunch of, oh boy, that Glimpse would be good if we could cast it. Oh, this is like, if we don't draw a land though, this hand does nothing. We're gonna keep it though. We gotta keep it. Bloodghast bottom, Prize Amalgam bottom, Polluted Delta into play. All right, Magic Gods. Maybe we just should have kept that 5-lander. If we draw a land, this hand's wonderful, right? We get the Glimpse, and then we also don't care about Chalice on one. The problem is, it's 1 land, 1 keep, and if we don't draw a land, this hand does nothing, like literally nothing. I mean, that's the Dredge way, though. Okay, land? Otherworldly Gaze. Well, I guess if we're gonna whiff, that is one of the better whiffs. Because this lets us surveil to set up the top of our deck, which should find us a land for next turn. Still not the explosive start we were hoping for. We wanted the, okay, we're off to the really fast start before our opponent gets to get things set up. That didn't happen with how this played out. Opponent, Temple Guard down to 17, and Ledger Shredder. Well, crack the Polluted Delta. Grab a Watery Grave. Otherworldly Gaze. Now, Bloodghast Graveyard. Forest Graveyard. All right, well, we found the land. Well, let's see if it's enough. So we get to Polluted Delta, which will get back a Bloodghast. Crack Polluted Delta for Overgrowth Tomb. And yeah, while our opponent's tapped out, I think we're just gonna mill the 10. Okay, that's pretty good. Narcomoeba, yes. Creeping Chill, yes. Double Silver Smo, yes, yes. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we end turn 2 with 9 power. Opponent, Flooded Strand cracks it. Our opponent's at 13. Ashiok. All right, so opponent, gonna mill us and exile some cards. How much do we care about this Ashiok? Should we just send everything at our opponent? Yeah, I think we just go face. I'm gonna trade with a Silver Smoke. Grizzly Salvage. Take a Stitcher's Supplier. Play the land. Yeah, this Ashiok's gonna be good here. I mean, opponent's at 7 though. Opponent's at 7. That's not a lot of life. Opponent Beseiju. Takes down the Ashiok. All right, didn't have any Creeping Chills, although we did lose a good Graveyard Displacer Kit and opponent passes. Well, we will Satyr Wayfinder, mill some cards. Okay, there's a Creeping Chill, that's good. We'll take a Swamp. Creeping Chill, yeah. This forces our opponent to block with Displacer Kit in. They drop to 1. Come on, come on. Creeping Chill, Creeping Chill, Creeping Chill. One more. Yeah! Yes, okay. We got there. Creeping Chill, and an Archamoeba, and a prized Amalgam, and we beat the Graveyard Hate. We actually beat the Graveyard Hate that game. Well, apparently we can beat a Ashiok. You can see just how explosive of starts this deck can get off to. Like, it's, there's some high risk, high reward stuff going on. There's some variance going on, but when it works, you can just have so much power so quickly that you can just overwhelm pretty much any deck in the format. It reminds me a little bit of the Field of the Dead Primeval Titan deck, except we get to start making all our random dorky 2/2s and whatnot on like turn 1 or 2. But yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. All right, we are trying to find out if Dredge can actually work in Timeless. It seems like Dredge should be busted in. Okay, if this hand isn't busted, then Dredge just sucks. Like, we cannot ask for more than this. Let's see how it can go wrong this time. Oh, turn 0 Leyline randomly. Oh, Sylvan's Grind for Bajuka Bug randomly. Yeah, Ashiok in my anti-card deck randomly. There's so many blowouts for this deck. It's so funny. I feel like this deck should be legit busted, and so far we just hit Graveyard Hate like crazy. More than I knew anyone ever played in Timeless. All right, opponent, what do you got? Polluted Delta, cracks Polluted Delta. I mean, this hand is kind of the dream. Like, we don't really want the Blood Gas, but outside of that, we can get a lot of cards in the graveyard. Dragon Rage Channeler. Well, we're gonna crack this Windswept Teeth. We're gonna grab our Triome. We are going to play a Rivulet, and we're gonna mill 10 cards. Not bad, not bad. So we get a Creeping Chill, head you to 14, get a Silver Smoke, which will get a surprised Amalgam on our opponent's end step. All right, DRC. All right, DRC. We're coming for this. Is what I'm imagining with this deck is doing this all the time. And this is not even like an insane start. It's just a good start. Dashes a Ragavan, sure. Steals a Silver Smoke Ghoul. Well, we get back prized Amalgam. We draw a Grizzly Salvage. Are we worried about Spell Pierce? Not too much. Yeah, let's just do it. Glimpse. Mill 10. Hit a couple Narcomoebas. Good at blocking Ragavans. Yes, we would like an Narcomoeba. Yes, we'd like an Narcomoeba. Deadlands for a Bloodghast. That was not a great Mill 10. Down to 8. I mean, for milling 20 for milling half of our deck, we don't have as big of a board as I was hoping. Although, I think it's probably still a big enough board to win this game. It feels so bad to have to kill like a Silver. You see what I'm looking, like bolting something that's just going to come back from the graveyard anyway feels pretty bad. We've also got to haste mode with Bloodghast. That's also something worth keeping in mind. Once we get our opponent below 10. Wow, okay. Flame of Anor. To kill the prized Amalgam. Yeah, that is a futile effort. Sure, you did it. And opponent realizes the futility and scoops it up. Now the question is, how much Graveyard Hate do they possibly have? I mean, I think we have to bring in at least a couple of answers, right? I could see Fatal Pushes too. We'll go down 1 Glimpse. We'll go down 2 Grizzly Salvages. Yeah, we'll go 1 Fatal. You know what? Let's go Wilts. We're not going to bring in any Fatal Pushes. I think, like, hopefully we just beat our opponent's creatures by making a huge board. Graveyard Hate's what we got to play around. I don't think this deck should have a ton of Graveyard Hate, but it could have some. I don't think is a keep. This hand, well, it has a Wilt, but definitely not a keep. This hand's even worse. All right, 3 to the bottom will be Silver Smote, land, and land, I guess. Well, go, Satyr Wayfinder, go. All right, well, we know what our opponent's plan is. They're playing Leyline of the Void, even though... Oh, God. They're playing Leyline of the Void even though they can't cast it, which is risky, but it is a good answer. At least now we know what Graveyard Hate we need to deal with. So opponent's going to get in with a Ragavan. Let's do this just in case. We want to get our Triome. Opponent, Ragavan, steals an Otherworldly Gaze, which might actually be worth casting for our opponent. Opponent says no. Well, play the land, pass the turn. Well, now the question's going to be, does our opponent have a counter? If they can counter the Assassin's Trophy, we're pretty much out of luck. Ragavan Steals a Stitcher supplier. Well, I mean, I guess it's a YOLO time here. Oh, geez. That we could have played around too. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess that was kind of my fault. We could have... I was not expecting Tidebinder in that deck. I thought they were a more aggro deck, but apparently they do have Tidebinder. Yeah, we could have played around that. Well, bring in one more wilt. You know what? Let's bring in all the wilts. Bring in all the wilts. Now that we know, we're going to go down Grizzly Salvage, and I guess one Satyr Wayfinder. Run it like that. Now that we know that our opponent's on the Leyline plan, we got to be able to answer Leyline. And now we know they're also playing Tidebinder for some reason. So we got to play around that too. Can we keep this? The problem is, if they just turn one Leyline, I think we mulligan. This has the wilt, but the rest of the hand is sketchy. All we have is Satyr Wayfinder for mill. Opponent's keeping. Yeah, I mean, I guess we gotta keep it. All right, opponent, show us the Leyline. They didn't even mulligan for it. All right, Polluted Delta, go. Hopefully they don't have Ragavan turn one. That would be super obnoxious. All right, Dragon Rage Channeler. Let's crack the Polluted Delta. Grab the Triome. Well, now we just need to draw self-mill stuff, basically. Well, that is a glimpse. So we're going to play the island, and we are going to get rid of this Leyline while we can. Pass the turn, see what our opponent does. Next question. Can we resolve Glimpse the Unthinkable? Opponent gets in, hits us for one. Passes. Maybe we just wait. Let's play Satyr Wayfinder. Mill some cards. Unspell Pierceable. Opponent's gonna crack the Polluted Delta, sure. Oh, they're Grixis. Okay, so opponent's gonna run out of Bowmaster. Snipe the Satyr Wayfinder. We get a land, mill a Bloodghast and a Creeping Chill. If we mill a Silver Smote, we get it back right now. I think we actually just wait. Otherworldly Gaze is good for playing around Ragavan a little bit. Opponent plays a fetch. We dropped to 18. Well, Otherworldly Gaze. Mill and mill. Untap and draw. So I think the way we do this is we Glimpse the Unthinkable. If our opponent counters this, then they can't Tidebinder our fetch land. Wow, they just let it go? Oh, that's going to be bad for them. Oh, it's going to be very bad for them. Oh, yeah, we're... Okay. I mean, you're going to Tidebinder a Creeping Chill or something? Sure. Even if they do, though, our graveyard's getting pretty full. So there's a Tidebinder. I guess they're going to stop the Creeping... Oh, they went for the Narcomoeba? All right. Well, we exile it. We get back to Bloodghast that are going to get back our prized amalgams anyway. We crack the Flooded Strand for a Watery Grave. And once again, we Glimpse. Okay, find an Narcomoeba. And we just get to go attacking. Get in there with the Hasted Boys. And I think we're good. Opponent goes to 4, but then we get back a huge graveyard. We're at 17. We're at 17. Oh, we had the answer. We had the answer to the Leyline, and we're going to pick up the win, I think. I mean, that's kind of the sideboard dance you do with this deck, right? Our opponent, it feels a lot like Modern. Our opponent's mulliganing for the Leyline. We're mulliganing for an answer for the Leyline. Yeah, I mean, yeah, opponents doing what they got to do. Targeted removal is not good against Dredge, though. Our stuff just keeps coming back. Like, I guess it's okay for the moment, but we will. Otherworldly Gaze. Mill. I think we actually keep a fetch. Let's keep a fetch. They're very good with the Bloodghast. So mill, draw a fetch. Go to our main phase. Haste in a Bloodghast. Attack with everything. And you can see the futility of removal. Like, our opponent has to block the Bloodghast, but then we just play the land, and it gets back the Bloodghast, and it gets back the prized amalgams. Opponent drops to 2. Well, fetch land. Triple Bloodghast. Also, if you decide to play this deck, once you get to the late game, save your fetch lands. Don't just crack them, because having access to them to get back the Bloodghast, really, really big. Well, we beat a Leyline. We actually beat a Leyline, so that was a pretty sweet win. Boy, we've had some blowouts with this deck, but that was a good one. That was a good one. We are trying to see if Dredge is busted in Timeless. How good is Dredge? Can we make Dredge work? Is Satyr Wayfinder the hero that the format deserves? Ooh, do we keep this? No blue mana. We do have a Grizzly. Yeah, we're gonna mulligan. This hand. So we have a Glimpse, which is good. Creeping Chill. The rest of our hand. You know what? Let's mulligan one more time. Okay, this is better. This is much better. We'll put Narcomoeba to the bottom and Satyr Wayfinder. Actually, we might need the land. Let's go. Actually, you know what? We'll go Satyr Wayfinder. That's fine. Well, one of the tricks of this deck is mulligan early and often. Mulligan, 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 mulligan. What makes this deck kind of unique as far as mulligans is we're not only mulliganing to find the cards we do want. Seriously. Seriously. All right. Well, that's awkward. Play the land and pass because I'm afraid of Stifle. All right, we're going to crack this now in case they have Tidebinder. Seriously. All right, so opponent has a lot of Stifles. That is a lot of Stifles. Gets a Blood Crypt untapped. Ragavan dashes it. Steals the land that we needed. Wow, we're going to lose because of that. Okay, well, pass the turn. Yeah, I think that actually... Wow! This deck has found some really creative ways to get blown out. I will give it credit for that. Like, we're not just getting blown out in the normal way. We're getting blown out in some very, very creative ways. Opponent, you can have a Silver Smoke Ghoul. Yeah, not having any black mana really hurts here. We desperately need the Satyr Wayfinder to resolve and find us a land. Well, okay, Satyr Wayfinder, ouch. Resolves. Jeez, green mana. Well, we get to get back some blood gas. That's something. Yes, we'll take the blood gas. Yes, we'll take the blood gas. No, we're not especially happy about it. Opponent untaps. I mean, if they want to keep Ragavaning, they're going to have to kill the Satyr Wayfinder. Okay. And then what, dash the Ragavan again? All right. Opponent, combat, attacks, hits us. Steals a land that we kind of wanted. Delver of Secrets. Is our opponent just randomly playing all these Stifles? Well, that's otherworldly gaze. Well, mill it and mill it. Keep the Overgrown Tomb. Draw. Well, we're going to go attacking. If this Delver flips, we're in really big trouble. We're going to need to hit some Creeping Chills to gain some life. Opponent goes to 13. Overgrown Tomb. Untap Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Okay, Narcomoeba's nice. That's actually a big hit. The Narcomoeba gets a Prized Amalgam. It also gives us a second blocker for Ragavan, potentially. All right, so I get to Fatal Push, which turns on the Molten Impact to kill the Narcomoeba. No flip, no flip. Oh, and it flips with a Kolaghan's Command. Opponent, combat, attacks, hits us. Yeah, I mean, I think we got Otherworldly Gaze. Mill a Creeping Chill. Mill the Triome. Keep the Watery Grave. Hit you for 3. Draw the Watery Grave. Our opponent's at 10. They have the Kolaghan's Command. Yeah, let's Stitcher Supplier. Mill 3. Creeping Chill? Creeping Chill? No, bunch of Prized Amalgams. I'll go to combat. Do some attacking. Hit ya, hit ya. Watery Grave. Untapped. Pass the turn. Silver Smoke. Triggers the Prized Amalgams. Alright, so opponent hits us for 2. We'll discard a Glimpse. Opponent untaps. We're still outside of bolt range. Death Shadow. Yup. That doesn't really matter, though. Opponent hits us. Down to 4. 4 and 3 is so different in this matchup. Another Death Shadow. But we get Prized Amalgams for days. we also get to otherworldly gaze. Narcomoeba. Yes! And opponent scoops it up. Okay. Wow. Double stifle stone rain. Still got the job done. Still got the job done. What graveyard hate are we concerned about? So we bring in the Assassin's Trophies. Are we bringing in wilts? That's the question. Are we trying to fight our opponent's creatures? Do we need to Fatal Push to, like, stop the Death Shadow? So we'll go down, let's see, Grizzly Salvage, Satyr Wayfinder. Actually, Wayfinder blocks Monkey. Going on 2 Grizzly Salvages. You know what? Let's go up 1 Wilt for a Satyr Wayfinder. Let's try it like that. Not super worried about Death Shadow. Like, Death Shadow can hit us. That's fine. Death Shadow can hit us, but it's not going to be the end of the world. The thing about Death Shadow is it doesn't have any evasion. So our opponent can play it and, like, get in at us, but it doesn't really... I mean, we got to keep this, right? We don't want these... Well, you know what? We're going to mulligan. We're going to mulligan. We don't want Prized Amalgam and Creeping Chill in hand. This we're going to keep. The only weakness of this hand is if our opponent has, like, a ley line, we're in sad shape. Opponent Water Grave passes. Flooded Strand, go. We do got to play around these stifles. Opponent. Bloodstained Mire cracks it. If our opponent dashes Ragavad, we definitely crack in response. Opponent just gets a tap land. Okay. And passes. Well, we'll play Ifnir Deadlands past the turn. Opponent Steam Vents untapped down to 15. Passes. Well, we'll play Windswept Teeth and pass the turn. We would like to be doing things. We're just trying to manage our opponent's infinite stifles. I assume they take a Glimpse, but we'll see. Wow, they take Assassin's Trophy. Maybe that means they have Graveyard Hate? Well, we're gonna crack a Windswept Teeth. Oh, not get stifled. Okay. Oh, that's surprising. Wait, do they not have stifles? Crack a Flooded Strand? Are we just free to crack our lands? Oh, I was not expecting any of this. Okay, let's play Polluted Delta. Glimpse the unthinkable ourselves. So we can pay for a Spell Pierce. Okay, that's actually pretty obnoxious. Test of Talents. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So we lose all of our glimpses. Like, this isn't game ending, but it is brutal because we had another one in hand too. We do get to draw a card. It's a Polluted Delta that's not super helpful. Well, crack this, grab a Overgrown Tomb, and I guess it's Satyr Wayfinder's time to shine. Wayfinder, mill 4. Narcomoebatron assembled. I don't know if this is actually good because we'd rather have Narcomoebas get back Prized Amalgams, but I guess we're not going to say no to a bunch of free power. Opponent Kolaghan Command, gonna make us discard. We will discard a Oasis. They kill an Narcomoeba. Well, let's Otherworldly Gaze. Upkeep. Ooh, Silver Smote, Bloodghast, okay. And then Otherworldly Gaze, Upkeep. Looking for a Creeping Chill, mostly. There it is. There it is. Opponent needs a stifle. Opponent needs a stifle on this Creeping Chill or they're going to die. Wow. So opponent does have the stifle. We draw. Grizzly Salvage. Go to our main phase. We'll play the land. Get back a Bloodghast. Get back a Prized Amalgam. And opponent. Not enough stifles in the world to stop the Prized Amalgam beatdown. Those stifles were brutal. Even though stifles in this format, people still don't play around them. I still don't play around them. We saw that in game 1. We got double stifled, but in the end, we got there. Wow. Well, that's Dredge. Sweet, sweet.